Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
Zhangru, hello, hello, hello.
And folks, you might notice today we have a timer. Nope, that's not until my pizza arrives. This today is actually the monthly tournament with a 50-minute time limit. And today we are on Ocean North. But Ryan, who's here meeting us?
Left-hand side in the blue, we have Führer Wonke playing as 14th Infantry for balanced income. Right-hand side in red, we have AtkPwr Gaming playing Army Kurauja, or the Polish Home Army, with a balanced income as well.
So, of course, looking over here, the Polish Home Army, partisans galore. 14th, we got just tons and tons of, flatfoots everywhere. How's this going to shape up, do you think?
Yeah, it's just going to be a pretty big battle of the infantry, I'd have to say. I mean, both sides are bringing in heavy German catch, and we're already seeing just right off the bat that IL-2 is going in ham and loading some infantry very early on.
Kill it? Let's do, I think. Maybe I'm incorrect there. No, he brewed up at least one truck.
Yeah, not bad at all.
But northern side, we are going to see the MG42 kind of not rush per se, but the MG42 is just getting lit up and doing some lighting up themselves, like very quickly going down. Did not quite suspect the flamethrower troops were being quite that vicious.
Yeah, and we're also seeing some, not PTRSs, but PTRD troops being rusting up, but actually stopping in the middle of the open, and now they're going to get slowly pounded away by captured Russian support gun.
Yes, absolutely. Kind of checking things out here. The early shove is kind of, I'm not going to say what we expect per se, but kind of something that I think the Poles really do quite well. And actually, I have to call this out real quick as well. We got two Flak 30s and we got a couple of Brownings on Fiat trucks actually over here as well. Actually, I really like having that early kind of anti-air position there.
Yeah, it is a pretty heavy investment really in Tantor early on, but I guess it will prevent any cheesy bomber plays from trying to, or maybe a little bit too far to stop anyone in the town. But I do like outpush into the town. It's a very strong position if you can attack the opposing side town at the start. Especially with Army Group Croucher, you can only be playing in towns and cities. It's not just dramatic, but it works out pretty well.
Meanwhile, the flying tank is getting a new lease on life because that IL-2, for some reason, despite getting raked with 20 mil fire, does not go down, just limps off back to home.
I'm gonna need to add another 20 mil on. Yeah, it's only the single 20 mil BF-109.
True. We are getting a lot of action over here on the flank. So looking at the down south, we see that a lot of the troops over here from Führer Wonke over here with the 14th Infantry actually going rather well, other than getting strafed to hell and back. Taking a good portion of that territory, a little bit more, I would say, tentative, cautious, really, than I probably would have expected, especially considering the numbers that he's got going on there.
Yeah, we haven't
but love it, yes.
really seen like even that much heavy play on the flanks or anyone in general. I mean, both are playing balance, so time is on everyone's side in this case, and you don't have as much offensive firepower, really aiming for offensive firepower early on. But yeah, just looking north and down south, Wonke is just pushing heavy in that, forest below the hill on both sides with Big Leech.
Kind of interesting here as well, this Stoss troop in play, north side, in that town. Artie's got the, the Cobra Commandos over here. I'm not even going to attempt to say their names, I was just going to insult them. But huge groups pinned down. I'm surprised they actually haven't surrendered already. There is no officer there.
Oh.
But Stoss troop been going down instead. That was quite surprising. I mean, there's one thing they do have. They just have a wave of meat shields. And, oh my gosh.
Napalm bomber coming. Not gonna be enough. Damn. Almost kills the officer.
You say it's not going to be enough. He might go down here, but at the same time, I didn't think that all those little bombers were going to get quite that far.
I forgot how crazy that napalm bomber is.
He's also crazy on fire. He has at least 2 engines streaming.
Yeah, and he gets out the Ak-9 just not fast enough. But that's gonna give a good opener here as we see The Führer will be pushing into the town with his Luxes, knowing that the fire support has been routed because of the napalm bomber, and that will allow him to clear up shop. He also got Luxes pushing up north as well. And I mean, those Luxes are fantastic close-range fire support, especially against Army Group, which is lacking a little bit in the anti-tank department.
Yeah, I mean, they have these M14s, but those are more or less just kind of like Italian tanks.
Yeah, they're Italian tanks who managed to run their way into Warsaw, originally used by Italians and Germans, and then into Polish hands for some reason. It's kind of weird how much hands, equipment change, how much equipment changes in the Second World War.
Yeah, yeah. Goita just kind of seems more like bought with your blood more than actually being like captured. But Begleit Grenadiers and Sicherungs over here going and taking out the Ocho. So Cotton, I don't know really how we should be expecting these guys to be trying to hold up against a lot of this firepower. MG-42's behind them. I mean, like, basically the group storms that are behind them, basically armed with entirely German equipment, those guys are terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, the main problem here so far for AtkPwr is he just doesn't have a whole lot of fire support with, like, a lot of his troops. Like, up north, it's just infantry all alone, and the Germans are taking some casualties, actually, as the MG-42 troops are holding the line, but there's just way too many, well, Germans in this case, and those Panther II Luxes can come around back and actually provide some fire support if they are so inclined.
And it seems they certainly are inclined. They are going to die over here in that middle section. Kind of funny here as well. It's a Fiat tank, and there's a Pak-40 downslope from him, and the Pak-40 is unfortunately just going to limp right into the eyes of the M14 very, very soon. But it still is 14-10 in favor of the Germans, so a little hard to hate that too much. In fact, might even see maybe a 15-second? I don't know.
It's just been a very effective push here up north here from Wonke, or down south. AtkPwr hasn't been able to really take advantage of the push. Of course, he hasn't been able to capture the forest downslope of the hill, and that's a very strong position Wonke's gotten himself into. Because actually, I mean, as we can see by God Vision, there's nothing in the southern town.
Yes.
A few good infantry, rushing up into you, and that can be a major break into AtkPwr's lines.
Now, the trot over here, this is a captured Hetzer?
Yep.
Yes, that's going to cause some devastation. They got a 1P2 already. There's not a whole lot that the 14s can really do with that until either A, they throw a Pak-40 up there, which is a very, very expensive investment for really just one piece of equipment, or B phase, and I would say even, later B phase, actually. So not a lot they can do immediately.
Yeah, that's going to be adequate amount of fire support. That's always the funny thing with home armies. It's like, yeah, you barely have any tanks. You got like some captured Italian tanks, a single Hetzer, and then it's Panther, Tiger. So you do actually have some long-range heavy-duty firepower, which is pretty good in this map, especially when pushing in the center. But you can't really afford to be losing any of it. You have to utilize it effectively, because as we see time and time again, heavy tanks only end up doing so much.
True. Very, very true. Northern side, we are going to see that flanks are starting to flow back into the Polish hands here, but I imagine downslope, and actually on the southern flank of this, there's going to be a pinching off of just Polish positions one by one.
Yeah, that's just such a effective like strike package, so to speak, which Wonke has managed to set up in that forest. And all of AtkPwr's troops are very much spread out. Like, once again, not an adequate amount of like fire support, and just his units just getting picked off one by one.
Now, to be fair though, Wonke is going to go and lose a couple of squads here and there. Indeed, he's actually probably going to take pretty devastating losses. Begleit Pioneers are going to have to take out the Ochos down in the south. That's just really dilute a lot of his strike package there too, to use your terminology.
Just slowing down a bit. We've seen also up north. I think this is where AtkPwr is really putting in the investment. And he does have the tank firepower advantage here, but he needs to get into the town, or into the forest. I guess the forest is kind of like a town, but for woodland animals.
True.
But
True.
it's just that forest is so well heavily defended, as we're seeing all the top tier 14th infantry being brought out right at the start, and they can cause quite a bit of hassle.
They certainly can. Unfortunately, it is on the southern side. I was going to say AtkPwr Gaming. He has certainly used his, attack up over here in the northern side. So this side is suffering badly, though.
Ah,
Very, very badly.
the Puss has taken some heavy casualties here from Wonke's perspective, but I mean that one Panzer II is just going to go to town. There's no anti-tank to stop him.
No. No, there isn't. And if that flame troop goes, yes, we still do have a guy behind enemy lines here, but that's not really. It's not a killing behind enemy lines. It's just sort of there, and that's a big problem.
Yep. We are seeing the IL-2 being brought in once again. I think that was just a fire position move onto the woodland. I think trying to get a Begley Pioneer from before.
Yeah, and I think right now here too, we're seeing the influence of really a lot of this equipment just kind of desperately saying, ooh, yow, that BF-109 going is down immediately. We're seeing a lot of equipment now getting pulled away from the northern side to get thrown into the southern side, because now they're starting to see there's a danger here. It's a big danger here.
Yeah, Wonke just has a very good amount of momentum built up. Like, as you can see, especially down south, this is much more concentrated forces, while AtkPwr has just been sending them in piecemeal. We're seeing this hot show being brought in, but there's also some more infantry being brought in as well. And I see very, very effective napalm strike. That will give him, the positional advantage of getting to that forest and start, fighting CQC. Throw some Molotovs, shadow drinks.
True. I kind of wonder over here, though, too. Should we see the Ju-88 to the northern side over here for Fuhrer? Because that would be, I think, honestly, even better still.
I want to see that again. That was extremely satisfying to roll.
Oh, absolutely. And don't even hit the position right now. You see all of those poles where you have 3 or 4 more squads going. Don't hit that. Hit the northern forest. At that point, you swing around, and honestly, if you can hold that tree line up here to the north, that's even harder, I would think, to take than this little middle finger of trees that's coming out. So,
yeah, I just think it would really help AtkPwr right now, especially up north. It's a bit of artillery. You don't have a whole lot of options with the home army. In this case, 105s or some off map. But he really needs, even like the off map would be extremely useful right now to route out the infantry, and then to push on up with his own infantry.
Yeah. Checking out just the raw numbers here, one thing I also kind of notice is both guys, since of course they are playing with that C phase, both of them are expecting a little bit of foot slogging on the back end of this. One thing that's kind of surprising me a little bit, though, is 14th is giving up, I would say, the late tank opportunities, which is kind of weird. Like you're talking about it before, with the Polish Home Army having an absurd amount of heavy equipment. I'm not sure what happens when we hit Phase C and all the tanks start to roll.
Good question. It's just going to be about making good use of those limited amount of heavy tanks. But also, heavy tanks are good, but you only ever really need so many. Like, if you lose 5 Panthers, you're doing something really wrong, and you probably already lost the match.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Of course, if you lose 5 Panthers, you're probably getting fired from the zoo. But I'm not here to talk about employment.
Yeah, the German zoo was, or the Berlin zoo was pretty risk-ross with rules.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that as soon as I made that comment. It's like I have a heart of a lion and a lifetime ban from the Berlin Zoo. But we're going to talk a little bit about maybe some of the partisan squads that are behind lines here. So we have a couple of flame troops on the northern side. You have Copras in the backside there. A couple of Ochas here as well. But I'm starting to notice that German infantry is being massed in a very, very dangerous way. And while I think the Poles have eventually the numbers on them, I kind of still feel like the German quality should be equal to, if not exceed it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the Stern Pioneers and Begley troops are bloody fantastic, especially in the early phase of the game, but he is going to start running out of his troops into B phase. He's reinforced with, some stern pioneers, and then after that, it's really just grenadiers. Well, the Polish infantry don't get to the insane STG height. They're pretty beefy in numbers, and they, in general, have pretty good CQC firepower, like the Ocho's.
JU-88 to the south, by the way, sir.
Oh, yeah, yep. Hot.
Oh,
Absolutely hot.
That is a highway to hell right there, for sure. To the point that I think the P2 is going to drive right through it, which is going to be a bit of a hassle, but,
like
wow.
a vineyard of fire.
Yeah, that's certainly the certain grapes of wrath. That's for darn sure. But that by itself, I think that will make it an Axis forest here for a fairly good amount of time. The only thing you have to watch out for over here is that M42. Oh no, he's aggressing over here on the P2. That's still on the slope, which is an interesting call. I would think you'd want to be sliding that M42, the 45 mil, back to the northeast. If nothing else, you can shut down this kind of extension into your lines. I don't really think I'd be comfortable having it otherwise.
Yeah, he really needs to be using these like cheap anti-tank guns, and for the Polish Home Army, that's one thing you get a lot of. Even the Polish anti-tank gun, the 37 mil, is very bloody good in this sort of situation. It can make very short work of light tanks. We've seen 45 mil make short work of that Panzer II, and then it's going to be relocating to deal with the other Panzers. Oh, Tiger, yeah. And IL-2.
Yeah.
That's a heavy investment in anti-tank.
Yeah, very much so. And I kind of feel like it's not the right kind of investment. Like, there's a long-term investment, and there's like a, hey, bro, I just want to, invest in Bitcoin kind of investment. And I think this is more that latter one than the former one.
It's really going to make good use of his Tiger, because that will... It's going to be hard to use it, like, down south. I think he has a very good opportunity if he wants to put in the center of the map and start utilizing his, Panthers and Tigers in that region. And then, use some support guns, whatever you got.
Well, as it is right now, that Pack 40 can kill, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because it means that I feel like each side was like, you know what, we're going to make sure we can have a weapon to kill every single other one of our weapons, just in case it falls into the wrong hands.
Yes. Raise
Very,
our
very
Tiger
strange.
with a Polish Tiger.
Exactly. What stops a Polish Tiger with a gun? A German Pack 40 anti-tank gun.
Yes. And the Pack 40 will be able to force back the Tiger for the time being. We've seen IL-2 coming in for the strafe, but the flag villain says otherwise. And by otherwise, I mean pepper the skies with 420mm cannons.
It was kind of funny. I think the first time I'd ever seen a Flak Vierling was in The Longest Day, when they're dropping Rupert, all the Ruperts out over the
Oh yeah.
Normandy. This is the first time I've ever seen a Flak Vierling. It sounds brutal. I mean, of course that was Hollywood, but I can only imagine just the amount of firepower that just goes up with that.
Like a battery of them going off against
absolutely.
some bomber raid. That would have
Absolutely.
been nuts.
105, by the way, from the northern side. This is the field howitzer engaging the anti-air position, and this is a bit of a liability. I loved seeing it so condensed in that earlier part because it said this is an important position. But I think now APG just kind of shorten that up a bit. I think he's got to start redeploying some stuff here. At least shift the truck away, because I feel like you're going to be losing an awful lot of very important equipment here.
Yeah, he's trying to keep him close to the officer, which I get, but yeah, you can still spread them out a little bit more and not be so vulnerable to the artillery fire. And still up north, the Führer is... Wonke is holding the line, or the forest line, so to speak, quite well, just by throwing in the infantry. Oh, he has took heavy casualties, and he's pretty much down to just using grenadiers now.
Well, one thing I didn't quite see is we do see that the Schwat is gone, so I got Schwatted. Oh good, 20 mils is going to move slightly. Good. But I feel like this still opens up an opportunity for another bombing run. I think that's still really worthwhile. I think it's a very valuable opportunity.
Being down south, we got a heavy investment from Wonke as well. He's got his own Tiger to fight the Polish Tiger, so we're going to have a bit of a cat fight soon. And yeah, also just heavy investment of infantry. And once again, AtkPwr just doesn't have a, mass concentrated force here. This would be pretty easy for Wonke to push on through and capture that Southern Hill.
Northern Hill's going to get pounded by more and more infernos, just to call it what it is. And the southern side, yeah, you're right. We are going to see a resurgent, and as I say, a resurgent push. And as soon as I say that, everyone's just stopped moving. So, yeah, about that.
Oh.
But it continues to be a 14-10. An APG over here, I think he's really got to be more active. And as silly as it sounds, I think you were right before to say, you need off-map artillery. You need some sort of fire support. You can't just keep throwing, like what we see on the northern side, 6 or 7 squads at a problem and hope that that's going to be enough.
And he has a good strike package of infantry up north, but the current terrain they're fighting over is pretty terrible, as he can't really spread out. It's a very thin piece of forest which he's having to huddle about, which, makes you quite exposed to artillery fire. And I wouldn't be surprised. Yep, 105, real... I know he's still trying to blow up the Tourney mill.
Catfight has ended with the German Tiger up top. There's an IL-2 down to the south, so he's going to get his bombs off, probably freak out that Complete Pioneer, maybe even the P2. But other than that, I mean, big deal. The hill is now completely German, and I don't know how easy it's going to be to push that back.
I'd say it'd be a uphill battle, Khan.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Absolutely an uphill battle. Northern side, that whole giant push, they've got troops in the longhouses, that's great. But that's really about it. I mean, he's paying for every single centimeter of progress that he's been trying to get. So I don't know if that's really going to be great for him in the long term.
He's finally getting some good positions, or a bit better positions, into that forest. Once he can fully mobilize into it, he'll be in a pretty good shot. I mean, you've seen another Tiger being brought on through. That one partisan leader does have a Faust Patron, so he needs to get his ass up to the front line and help out. Or use the IL-2, that can work if it can get their shots off, which they can't.
The Tiger, I think, might know that there's a Faust Patron there now. Yep, he's backing away. Good call there, sir.
Smart move, and yeah, we're just going to be seeing heaps of Grenadiers, and this is going to be the problem here for Wonke. It's like, those Grenadiers are not very good in CQC fights. The Polish infantry, pretty damn good. So if he can really utilize this, get deep into that forest, keep spamming the Ochos, AtkPwr can push on through up north. The problem is, down south is still a very tenuous position, but at the same time, apart from attacking the town, which would probably be GG at that point, Wonke can't really do too much else, or too much damage down south.
Yeah, but right now we also are seeing the other issue too, which is that the Tiger is able to interdict. In fact, Tigers on both roads are going to be crazy strong in terms of interdicting a lot of the equipment that's trying to come in. Northern side, we see a Tiger and a Stoke by themselves, just 86 one truck, force these other two infantry squads into desperate retreats, leaving digital bodies in their wake. Yeah, so you're right. If they get to close quarters, the Poles are brutal.
Yeah. Oh, we're seeing the off-map artillery.
If they get to close quarters.
Finally being cordoned up north. This can really make or break it here for AtkPwr. He can, because it's very bunched up, all of Wonke's troops. He can very easily force them all to bugger off for a bit and then push on up, but his current troops are being pounded, and he just needs a rate fully artillery to drop before committing to an offensive operation.
Well, there's 5 more Grenadier squads, so that's great. I don't know that it's going to be perfect, because between P2, Grenadiers, heck, even the Pack 40... Oh, never mind, the Pack 40's out of shells.
Oh,
but... Please.
The off-map got killed before
he
could even get any shots off, because the Begleek Grenadiers were in a rather sneaky position.
But, Rang, Begleek Grenadiers aren't any good.
They are good.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we have that acknowledged.
I never said they were bad.
There's a time and place where you're kind of like, but Begleek Grenadiers. I mean, yeah, they're going to be 44s, but they have no anti-tank. There was a part of me. Maybe I'm imagining. Whoa! Tiger goes down.
Sabotage.
Yeah, exactly. Panther Strike killed a P2 and a Tiger. That is probably the best thing those guys will ever do in their entire military careers. Well done to them.
Well, that's very good picks off here for AtkPwr. Now the Grenadiers being brought on through. It's a heavy amount of long-range firepower as well as DPs, but AtkPwr can get in close and get some bloody fire support here. You know, losing the off-map was a pretty big bloody loss. He'd
Yes,
be
it
in
was.
a better position, because then now he's having to fight long range with the Grenadiers, and well, their knockoff Brownings don't really match up, so to speak. Well, actually,
Oh no, they're fine. They're
no,
fine.
they're actually doing pretty damn good. Never mind.
Yeah.
Those knockoff Brownings can do the Lord's work.
Now the Browning 1920 was just basically let's just put a bipod on this thing to see what happens. I mean, it's not really any different than the weapon system they used 12 years later. Though I would say this is another Ju-88 strike waiting to happen.
Oh yeah, they're lined up for the
Yes.
fiery vineyard to appear.
Yes, exactly. And yes, they will take firepower here, but two 2-centimeter guns is a far cry from what happened, 20 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. It's not the same kind of terrifying kind of force here anymore. And I think we're starting to see the Poles kind of run out of immediate resources, not in terms of what potentially they can throw in, what they are throwing in and how it's kind of getting utilized. Like down south, Tiger, they're calling it infantry squad after infantry squad after infantry squad. And what do we see? Well, Tiger picks them off at 2 kilometers, at 1,800 meters, at 1,900 meters. So it's just this constant thing. How the heck are they going to get back against that? I don't know.
Southern side is pretty much the lost cause for AtkPwr. There's no point really trying to push against such a heavily fortified position. I mean, it's just so much bloody infantry, and it's mainly just a Tiger. He just needs to focus his efforts in the center and up north. And as we're seeing up north, it's... Oh!
There's a P2 rush coming.
Oh, really?
6 P2s.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's bloody beautiful.
Yes, it is. It is. But there's a couple 45 mils that you have to kind of watch out for.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, this is, you have, oh no, I'm sorry, 5 P2s. 5 P2s, you have a couple of SK-18s, so this could be absolutely wonderful from just a visual perspective, but it's going to be hell on earth for the Poles.
We've also seen a fire support from the Tiger and the IG-33 from the town, shooting into the barracks complex, and that is doing a whole heap of damage, and we're just seeing it's all coming down to the fire support. Wonke of the artillery, the infantry support guns, just the overlapping fields of fire of his infantry have been able to just dish out more damage in AtkPwr's infantry. They just have not been able to get into good positions.
Kind of curious thing, southern side, Tiger has been getting engaged by basically, again, a Pack 40, like I said. So, on the same thing before where we had the German pack against the Polish Tiger, now we have the Polish pack against the German Tiger. And I think in this case, with the 105 supporting it, it might be able to eke out a narrow victory.
Maybe.
Loader knocked out, so very, very critical crit here. So nothing else is going to get forced back out of panic. So, lucky break currently. But yeah, that's northern side. I gotta see how this works out. Between the Tiger, like I said, the IG-33, that's phenomenal. But I have to kind of see... Wow.
Adds 2 rush.
Yes, I have to see this, as each one gets blown into little smithereens. It's maybe Fast Patrol constantly.
Goes down.
Of course, that's the leader goes down, so now it's just basically we're going to go in advance by crawling over the bodies of our former comrades, so that's also a pleasant idea. A little weird, but a pleasant idea.
45 mil is a very good position to try and shut this down. That's another.
Unfortunately, the autocannon is deliciously good at dealing with a lot of this. The other one's in like 50 meters away, just pull the other gun out.
Get closer.
Hit him with your sword, come on. There we go.
But no, he could handle it. Here's a strong independent Luke's. There comes the T-34.
But the thing is, okay, you have now killed P2s. Congratulations. Now what do you do? I mean, you still have the Tigers, you still have the IG-33s, now you have 2 more SK-105s that are just throwing up smoke like crazy. More smoke there than a Philip Morris commercial. I mean, like, what do you do? I'm really truly not sure.
Yeah, it's pretty much the right engine the rule here for AtkPwr.
But not for nothing, I think I kind of like this 50-minute time limit. I'm not going to say 40 minutes over here because it's a little bit, occasionally brief. But 50 minutes, you can see right here. We are crossing the 30-minute right about now. Both guys have been able to get out a lot of the economy they were hoping for. I just think that at the end of it, if you're a Wonke over here, able to not maybe be the most efficient with his infantry, but able to mass his infantry just properly to engage all of this.
Yeah, he was just more efficient with his usage of infantry, and it is mainly just amassing his troops into bigger units rather than individual firefights.
No, the occurs to me, and I don't know if this is something that's really big up in Canada, but if you're a Wonka over here, could this be like Willy Wonka, like Mr. Wonka?
Yeah, I'm just imagining him like really Ronker in an SS uniform.
That's charming and at the same time quite terrifying.
There's,
The Oompa Loompas all have a death's head.
yeah, there's other disturbing things that's going in the factory, but we won't get into it. I'll just let the imagination.
Whoa! No, we are not touching that with a 100-foot pole.
Anyway,
Looking at kills in the meantime. The brave Yak, JU-88 taken out by a Yak. I mean, other than that, a lot of poles. There was one Ocho who's got 4 kills. We got that Sabo who's got the P2 and the Tiger. But nothing too crazy over here on the home front.
oh, nothing really. It's mainly just the Ochos coming out on top because they are really like the Polish Home Army has some really bloody good infantry.
Yes.
The problem is just the rest of the division doesn't have much else. They couldn't acquire much.
Exactly. But looking over here on the other side, let's see. We got Pack 40 got himself some kills. JU-88, Big Leap Pioneers. So I mean, I'm not going to say that it's just fantastic efficiency on both sides all over the place. We've talked about it quite a bit already. But even these heavy tanks, I think there's a lot more efficiency on the heavy tanks, despite the fact that there are fewer of them deployed.
Yeah, especially on the map when you're fighting on the flanks, heavy tanks have a very limited purpose.
Yes.
You don't really see them used to just shut down a single, road on either side.
Yes.
Like they can be utilized quite well if you put heavy in the center, but everyone is always very scared on this map to push the center position.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I will say, well played, honestly, to both players. Unfortunately, AtkPwr Gaming was not able to convert some of the infantry from earlier before. But I really do like the kind of aggressive pushing that we saw in the first probably 5-10 minutes, really, overall. I just think that once Führer Wonka was able to kind of go and force AtkPwr Gaming to look to one side, I think that's where we started to kind of lose it over here for APG.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts there, sir?
No.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for us here today. Of course, on Thursday, more replays. So until that day, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.